Hi, welcome back to Mind Control.
Bang on the door. I'm the oldest. They're screaming. So I go answer the door. And I answer the door, and standing there is this giant man. It was this little boy. And he's holding this huge box of food. And beside him on the ground was a black pot with an uncooked turkey in it. And he said, "Is your father home?" And I said, "Just one moment." I was like, this is a gift from God. This is going to change it all. This is going to make my mom and dad happy. It's going to be unbelievable. So I go, and my father is screaming at my mother through a closed door to the bedroom door. And I said, Dad, there's a guy at the door. And he goes, "You answer the door." I said, "I did. He's got to see you." So I kind of teased. I said, "Dad, you got to come." So he said, "Fine." He made one last yell at her, and he walks to the door. And I'm waiting there, just can't waiting to see his face. And my dad opens the door, and this man's standing there with this big box of food. And my father did not get happy. He looked at this man, and he raised his voice to him, and he said, "Look, we don't take charity." And then he took the door to slam it in the man's face. But the man was a good-sized man. He put his foot there and smacked his foot and bounced back over. He said, "Sir, this is not charity. Everybody has tough times. Somebody knows you're having a tough time. And they want you to have a magical Thanksgiving. I'm just the delivery guy." He said, "Please take this." And my father said, "We don't take charity." He went to slam it again. And this time the guy put his shoulder against it so he couldn't do it. And then my father's staring at him. It's like these two males starting to get in this intense mode. And one just trying to give a gift, and I'm freaking. And then the guy said something that I'll never forget, in moments I wish he hadn't said. But he found a way to force my father. He's holding this thing, and he looked at me, and then he looked at my dad, and he said, "Don't make your family suffer because of your ego." Now my dad's level of energy increased, but he was also trapped. You get it? So he took the food, slammed it on our table, and slammed the door in the man's face and never even thanked him. And then I thought, years I figured out, our whole life is shaped by decisions. That's what we've talked about today, right? But there's 3 decisions you're making every moment you're alive. And the way you make these 3 decisions shapes your destiny. First decision we're all making every moment is, what are you going to focus on? What are you going to focus on? I realized that my father's life and my life ended up very different because we made that day 3 decisions very differently. He decided to focus on the fact that he has not fed his family. And the second question you got to decide, every moment you're alive, and including this moment, what are you going to focus on? The second question is, as you're focusing on, what does this mean? What does it mean? And the bottom line on meaning is, if you think about it, you get to make up the meaning, and most people pick the worst one, don't they? That day, my father decided to focus on the fact he hadn't fed his family, and I know what meaning he gave because he said it out loud over and over again, that he was worthless because he had not taken care of his family. And then the final and most important decision you make every moment you're alive, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I'll tell you what he decided to do. He decided to leave our family shortly thereafter, which at the time was the worst experience of my life. It was the most crushing experience I felt. I realized in that moment that the worst day of my life, my father leaving, had actually been the best day of my life. Because if I hadn't had that experience, I wouldn't be here today. And now because of that, I'm get to live this life. I have the desire and the drive and the want to give it this way.
Life is going smoothly, then the bottom falls out. Everything is coming up roses, then the bottom falls out. That life starts going your way finally, then the bottom falls out.
And when we begin to understand and know that, accepting that reality, that we will never ever have things just on an even keel all the time, that you're going to have some ups and you're going to have some downs. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place. That's where the work is.
You worked on a job 35 years and now you're laid off. You planned for life to work a certain way and then the bottom falls out. You're looking for this, and God sends that. That even though you love God, does not mean that the bottom will not fall out.
You might be going through a season. Just darkness is the absence of a thing. You might be going through a season of the absence of a thing that you legitimately need, but it ain't over.
You have to be awfully immature to think that every day is going to be a good day. Some days are better than other days. And some days, if it ain't one thing, it's another.
One of the things that we know about life is that it is always changing. Sometimes you're up, sometimes you're down. Sometimes things go real well, and sometimes they don't. Sometimes you're happy, and sometimes you're sad. Now that's that thing called life.
You may have to function for a while without the absence of the thing you adore. But it's not over. It's just that God has created the treasures of darkness. And in order to create the treasures of darkness, he has to take away light so that he can incubate what he's about to do in your life.
And I'm going to tell you right now, it will be hard because life is hard. That's what life is. And these challenges, they're going to do their best to take you down. Do not let them. Stand up, dig in.
In the end, we are only as strong as the adversity that we overcome. The pain of the adversity will eventually subside, but the lesson will always remain. And that lesson will strengthen you to endure your next battle, this time stronger and wiser than before.
Line up those problems and confront them. Face them. Do not let them bring you down. In fact, let those challenges raise you up. Let them elevate you. Let their demands and their trials make you stronger. Let the adversity you face today turn you into a better person tomorrow.
The way you handle your good years will determine if you survive the bad years. In other words, you must learn to maximize the positive. If you don't learn how to maximize the good times and minimize the bad times, then you won't make it through the family.
Victory begins in the dark. And we all go through these times where we don't think it's going to work out. Seasons where nothing is changing. We're being our best, but the business is not growing. The fact is, light is on the way. What God promised you is en route. You've been believing for things to change in your marriage, your finances, with an addiction. It seems permanent. You've already entered a new day. You've already passed midnight. You can't see it yet, but victory is on the way.
Life and business is like the changing seasons. You cannot change the season. That's impossible. You can't rearrange the seasons. The seasons are going to come however they're going to come, and you cannot change that. So you cannot change the seasons. But make this note. You can change yourself. That was the message I got when I was 25 years old with someone who took the time to teach me. You can change yourself.
Now, instead of complaining about the dark, have a new perspective. The dark means the sun is on the way up. The promise is about to come forth. Who can stop the sun from rising each morning? Who can keep light from breaking forth over the horizon? All the forces of darkness cannot stop what God has ordained for you. They cannot keep what He promised from coming to pass. In the face of that darkness, when you don't see any light, get in agreement with God.
See, anybody can feel good when they have their health, their bills are paid. Anybody could be positive then. Anybody can have a larger vision then. Anybody can have faith under those kinds of circumstances. The real challenge of growth, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, comes when you get knocked down. Somebody said that adversity introduces a man to himself or a woman.
Adversity is a gift. Embrace it. Trying to avoid adversity would be like trying to avoid the tide while swimming in the ocean. But like the ocean, if you can learn to embrace the tide of adversity, you will eventually learn to let it lift you up, and you can ride the wave to shore unscathed. And in that moment, take a look around, because the view that you have after you've overcome your adversity is absolutely breathtaking.
Thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Hi, welcome back to Mind Control, where we inspire and motivate you. Hope you enjoy the video.
Purpose. What's your purpose? Why? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you doing all the hard stuff? Why do you get up every day and look for motivation? And I don't know what yours is, but I know mine. You know, I hear people say, oh, you got the fancy car, and you got the jet, and you got the wife, and you got the kids, and you got the life, and you get to travel and speak. None of those things, because we all know the people that have the 6 or 7 or 8 or 12 or 20 cars. I was looking at this house the other day. It's got a 20-car garage. And I'm like, dude, why would you need a 20-car garage? Certainly, I get it. I get it that somebody's got so much money and so much wealth that they just have to continue to buy stuff, or they got 3 or 4 or 5 homes, or 2 or 3 jets, or whatever the deal is, right? But the reality is that doesn't fill me up. You know, what's always filled me up, even when I was, and I got the fancy stuff. Look, I'm not bouncing on the fancy stuff. I like nice things too, like anybody. But when is enough, right? When do you have too many nice things and find out the well is empty? You, the vessel. And for me, like, I want to help people. I've always wanted to help people. Ever since I was a little kid, I wanted to help people, particularly after my dad died, because I wanted people to help me. And maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe it comes from some wound, some early, maybe not a wound, maybe it was always there, and the loss of my dad, and realizing that I needed uncles to fill in the spot, the mentorship, and the almost like a life scholarship, a coach. I needed a coach. I needed attention in school, and I didn't get it. Maybe that's what like spurred this, dude, I'm going to help people. You know, I talk about being other people's uncle. People call me Uncle G. Literally, I don't care if you have any money or not. Okay, I already got mine. My money's so right, and I'm grateful that my money's right. I want to help other people get their money right. I talk about money a lot because, you know, the school system that I went to, all the way through college, an accounting degree, there was never a discussion about money. And for me, I'm trying to fill the gaps in between your education from your parents and, that guy's upset, miseducation, whether it be at church or school or home. Don't talk about money. You don't need money. Money won't make you happy. Money is the root of all evil. All these things that we've been taught. I'm here. I talk to you about money every day because nobody told you the truth about money. Dude, you need money. You don't need money to buy sparkles in a roof. That's just dumb. It's beautiful. It's nice. But how many you need? How many do you really need? You know, and this is what me and my wife talk about all the time. Okay, what is our purpose? And my purpose is to help people. My goal is to wake people up. I got a very strong message. It agitates some people. I know I got a style that doesn't accommodate everyone, but I'm trying to break through all the noise. You know, you got a lot of noise in the world. Got a lot of garbage in the world. Most of it's just putting people to sleep. So when you hear me yelling, showing off, dude, I'm just trying to get your attention. My purpose is to wake you up, okay? I want to help you. I want to help as many people as I can. I'm getting ready to go into a sales meeting right now. There's going to be 75 people in this meeting. This is my office. This is my group. We have another 150 people in the field in my real estate company. For too many years, I stayed small. I stayed little. I needed somebody screaming at me. I needed somebody to tell me the truth, like, blow up, dude. You got to blow up. But you need a purpose to do that, okay? My purpose is to help people. I want to go down not for the money that I made or the books that I wrote, but the people I helped. And I want you to be one of them, okay? My purpose is to wake you up, to give you the truth, to keep you on the path. If you're in India right now, you're in South America, you're in China, you're in Hawaii, I don't care where you live, your race, your color, your religion, I will help you. Okay, I will help you. I don't need your money. I need your willingness to change your life. That fills me up more than any amount of money, fills me up more than a plane, fills me up more than a car. I want to be responsible for more than just myself, my wife, and my kids, and my 75 employees here, my 150 out on the road in the real estate. I want to do more than just something for myself. I want to help others. So if you're one of those people and I can help you, let me know how in comments. How can I help you? What program do you need? Do you need something on sales, marketing, social media? Do you need a bigger network? Do you need some help in money? I got plenty of programs. I'll give it to you if I need to, okay? God bless. Be great.
Everything that matters in life must be built. Woo! Let me tell you, that was worth the whole trip. If it's a business, it's got to be built. If it's a family, it's got to be built. If it's a marriage, it's got to be built. If it's a relationship, it's got to be built. You will not have success waiting on these microwave relationships. Everything in life, build. You have walked away from things saying they weren't finished, they weren't supposed to be. You left people and said they weren't ready, they weren't supposed to be. You have to build a boy into a man. You have to build a wedding into a marriage. You have to build a house into a home. Build it.
You know, we live in a world where opposites are in conflict and we're in the middle. There's the pull to do good and the pull to do evil, to do what's right, and the pull to cross the line. That bit of warfare goes on even in our own head, our own consciousness. When I was a little kid growing up, I remember this cartoon of a little boy, and it showed this little boy with a little devil on one shoulder and a little angel on the other shoulder. The little devil said to the little boy, "Go ahead and do it, it'll be okay. It'll be fine, go ahead, go ahead." And little angel saying, "No, no, no, don't do it, don't do it." Little devil said, "Yes, go ahead." Little angel voice, "No, no." And I guess that's part of our life experience. It's part of the adventure. The old prophet said, "Love good and hate evil." And if we become educated in that way, knowing when the voice of temptation is not the right road to take, we make some better choices. When I got up this morning, a little voice said, "You really don't have to do your exercises today. You could skip today. You've got some work to do." And I got in at about 1 o'clock this morning on my airline flight from Colorado Springs. But as recently as this morning, the little voice said, "You don't have to do them this morning." But I well know that if I postpone a day, sure enough, I've got to make up for it somewhere. Maybe do a modified version if I don't have quite enough time, but don't let it just go. But we all have that. You know, that's fairly constant, what voice to listen to. I guess part of the answer is not to become a victim of yourself. Beware of the thief on the street that's after your purse, but also beware of the thief in your mind that's after your promise. The little thief in your head that says, "You're too tall, you're too short, you've never done it before, it's not going to happen for you. Others can find this book, you can't find it. If you found it, you probably wouldn't read it. If you read it, you probably wouldn't understand it." This is a constant bit of warfare going on inside of our head. So we all have to deal with that. But what I call that in these experiences is the great adventure. It seems as though God has designed human life and his own existence as a bit of adventure. First creating all the angels according to the storyteller. And we might surmise, what was that for? Maybe he didn't want to be alone, or maybe he wanted to create some kind of adventure for himself. Made one of the angels, the storyteller says, the most famous, the most beautiful, the leader. And finally Lucifer gathers up a third of the angels, makes a move on God's throne, loses, giving us a bit of insight, not much detail. I guess most of it's left to our imagination, which is probably what the storyteller wanted to create. Here's a few details and leave the rest to your imagination. So it seems like in the beginning, before the beginning, God, it seems, was interested in adventure. But I guess if you boil it down to something very simple, it says, would it be possible to win if you couldn't lose? And almost everybody says, well, no, it doesn't seem possible that you could win if you couldn't lose. So there has to be an adventure in order to have a victory, in order to have a win, in order to overcome, in order to create something of value. You must keep pulling positively against the negative forces, but that's what creates the adventure. If you took a football today and walked out to the football stadium, put it under your arm and crossed the goal line, would we all cheer and call it a touchdown? And the answer is no. It's not a touchdown until you face the 300-pounders who want to smash your face in the turf. And if you can muscle by them, dance by the secondary, cross the goal line with the football under your arm, now we call it a touchdown, maybe a championship. But not without the conflict. But that's a good phrase. Opposites are in conflict and we're in the middle. And on any given day or occasion, that conflict can occur. There's an interesting Bible story that says there were two nice people, according to the storyteller, and it says, however. It's an interesting word, and that's where the adventure begins. However, one built his house on the rock, and the other built his house on the sand. Nice people can make foolish decisions about the future and then suffer the consequences, especially when the storm comes. So the key is to try your best. So many questions are not a matter of morality. It's a question of being careless or careful, being cautious rather than reckless, but not too cautious. So it's kind of an interesting challenge. If you were so cautious driving on a two-way highway, every time a car came your way, you were troubled about thinking whether or not he was going to stay on his side of the line, that you pulled off the road, wait for him to pass, then got back on the road and continued your journey. We would call that a bit too cautious. It may take you 2-3 days to get to your destination. So you say somehow when the traffic's coming your way on a two-way highway, you must trust at least the law of averages that says, I have a pretty good chance of arriving, even though there's not a guarantee that 1 out of 1,000 coming my way, I'll cross the line and it'll be the end. So we do have to be cautious, but not too cautious, and let those daily experiences lead us into a better life, a better month, a better year. I arrived on an airplane flight once, and the flight attendant came on and said, ladies and gentlemen, you have now completed the safest part of your journey. From now on, it gets dangerous. Fasten your seatbelt. I thought that was interesting. You've now completed the safest part of your journey. According to statistics, for the miles covered, it's the safest way to go.
We'd like to thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again. Hi, welcome back to Mind Control, where we inspire and motivate you. Hope you enjoy the video.
Key phrase, faith is the ability to see things that don't yet exist. And that's how things exist. How did this hotel get here? Someone saw it while the property was vacant. You say, well, is it possible to see this hotel when it isn't here? And the answer is yes, of course. If somebody cannot see it when it is not here, then it will never be here. So it's possible to see things that don't yet exist. Interesting. When should you start building this hotel? This is a good question for your philosophical musings. When should we start building the house? When should we start? And here's the answer. As soon as it's finished. You wouldn't start building the house until you had it finished. If you just started laying bricks and somebody came around and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm just laying bricks. And said, what are you building? And you said, I have no idea. See, they'll take you away to a safe place. So have you got that now? It's possible to finish something before you start. In fact, it would be a bit foolish to start until you had it finished. So human beings have this remarkable ability to finish something and then start it. We've heard the old expression, don't count your chickens until they're hatched. Say, no, we have the ability to count our chickens long before they're hatched. Because we know, we have faith, we believe. We use the law of averages. There's bound to be at least so many. Out of every dozen, out of every 100, out of every 50. So it's possible to see the end and then begin. Start looking into the future of what you would like to accomplish, and where you would like to go, the person you would like to be, and see if you can't get a better picture of the finished objective. See yourself there. See yourself in possession of. I was in business with Bob Cummings, the old movie star, for a while. He said, decide what you want and then act as if you already had it. And being an actor, he could give us a few tips on acting. Decide what you want and act as if it was already yours. Now, the reason we can act thinking that it's already ours is because not only can we vision the end results, we can also vision the beginning of making it real. So we don't start till it's finished, but it is possible for human beings to finish something before they start.
I remember a time when we used to believe in some things. I remember a time when we walked past each other in the street and we spoke. I remember a time that we would help the old ladies in the house with their groceries. I remember a time that the neighbors would look out for each other's kids. We used to believe in something. I remember a time that we were more patriotic and less political. We used to believe in something.
Or we were being our best, then the pandemic hit. Business went down. Children can't go to school. Dreams are put on hold. Sometimes it feels like we're going backwards. It's easy to live frustrated and think, God, why is this happening?
It seems like skepticism is so pervasive that truth is hard to find.
But we're not going to understand everything that happens. God's ways are not our ways. He can see things that we can't see. And just because it's not fair doesn't mean that God is not in control. If He allowed it to happen, He's going to bring good out of it. He promises all things work together for your good. On its own, it may not be good. It wasn't fair, you're uncomfortable, but when it all comes together, you're going to see how it works to your advantage.
A solid, concrete belief system that we can all embrace and agree on becomes difficult over the smallest things. We don't believe in science, no matter how educated, no matter how many tests and evidence is brought before us. We don't believe in science. Then some folk believe in science, they don't believe in God. No matter how God moves and how many times He blesses, they don't believe in God. There are still some people that still refuse to believe. They're willfully blind. They're conveniently blind. They're blind because the blindness makes them comfortable. We choose to be blind. We have reduced God down to the universe, failing to recognize that God created the universe. We now worship the creation more than the creator, and we pray to the things God made rather than to the God that made them. We used to believe in something. We used to have some ideals and creeds. But today we are in a time of skepticism. Everything is met with a challenge.
The difficulty, the delay, the betrayal was all instrumental in you reaching your destiny. But none of us like bad breaks, loss, delay. But without that difficulty, you couldn't become who you were created to be. It may look like a dead end, but really it's setting you up for promotion. That person that left you, it was hurtful. God moved them out of the way so He could bring someone better. But that struggle was difficult. You didn't do anything wrong, but you had opposition at work. Your child wouldn't do what's right. It wasn't fair, but what you couldn't see is it was growing you up, developing your character, getting you stronger, more confident, more determined. Without it, you wouldn't be prepared for the blessing, the increase, the new levels that are coming your way. And you may not understand what you're going through. You could live worried, discouraged. Try a new approach. God, I don't understand it, but I trust you. I know you're in control. You're working all things for my good. So I'm not going to live upset. I'm going to stay in peace, knowing that you will get me to where I'm supposed to be.
It's a hard job to preach anymore because preaching is based on faith, and faith has gone out of style because we don't believe. We don't believe in anything. They don't believe in parents. They don't believe in structure. They don't believe in respect. They don't believe in order. People have babies, leave them in the trash can. They don't believe in raising children. We used to believe in something. We're living in an era of skepticism. Truth is optional. It's your opinion. It's whatever you choose for it to be. Alternative truths, alternative realities. We used to believe in something. I'm not shocked that unbelievers don't believe. That's why they are unbelievers. But I'm shocked sometimes to recognize that the skepticism that was outside the boat has crept through the pores of the boat. Somehow it has filtered through the pitch and got inside the ark, and now you have to believe. This spirit of skepticism that has attacked our generation, has attacked our age, has led to unnecessary death, unnecessary murder, unnecessary pain, the lack of solidarity, the accentuation of instability and anxiety, because when you don't have a truth to anchor yourself to, you're just floating around in the sea of an abyss of ideas, each one contesting the other one. It has led to arguments and fightings and murders and killings and shootings and arguing over turf, because there is no truth to anchor us. Truth anchors the soul. Truth holds us down. Truth opens up revelation. Truth opens up doors. It is about believing. It's about believing. Faith is the currency of heaven. It's what it is to heaven what money is to earth. It's what God uses to transact business, because without faith, it is impossible to please God. No matter how talented you are, if you don't believe Him, it is impossible to please God. Faith is the currency of heaven. It is the substance of the thing I hope for. It is the evidence of things I don't see. If I was Satan and I wanted to bankrupt you, it wouldn't be enough to take your money. If I take your faith, I've left you bankrupt. If I take faith, you can't have no peace. If I take faith, you can't have no joy. If I take faith, you can't have no victory. If I take faith, you don't have no power. If I take faith, you don't have no confidence. If I take faith, you don't have no boldness. If I have faith, you don't have no conviction. If I take your faith, you're powerless, impotent, weak, incapable. Your lack of faith is an insult to God. Do you hear what I'm saying to you?
There will be times in life that you don't understand what God is doing. Things don't make sense. Trouble, delays, closed doors, people that betrayed you, prayers that haven't been answered. It doesn't make sense now, but don't worry. One day you're going to understand. God is going to connect all the dots.
Trials to your faith don't come when all your bills are paid, when you got a nice job and you got a nice car and you got a nice home and everything. Trial to your faith comes when all hell's breaking loose. Everything you was leaning on is given away. You're uncertain and insecure and vulnerable. That's when the trial to your faith is come.
He doesn't allow things that He doesn't have a purpose for. That trouble is not a surprise to God. You can't see it right now, but behind the scenes, God is lining up things in your favor. When it's the right time, when it all comes together, it's going to work for your good. You'll look back and say, if that hadn't have happened, I wouldn't have this position. If that door hadn't have closed, I wouldn't have met this person. If I hadn't have gone through that difficulty, I wouldn't have stepped into this new level. Now, don't waste your time trying to figure everything out. There are some things you're not supposed to understand right now. We can't see the plan of God. If you're always trying to figure it out, it's going to frustrate you. Instead of using that energy trying to understand what's happening, use it to thank God that He's working. Thank Him that you're surrounded with His favor. You don't have to work it out. You don't have to live frustrated over what's not happening, discouraged over disappointments. You keep honoring Him and He'll open the right doors. He'll bring the right people. He'll turn negative situations around. He'll make things happen that you couldn't make happen. His plan for your life is much bigger than your own. If you're going to stay in faith, you have to learn to trust when you don't understand.
Faith don't make it easy. Faith makes it possible. All you want is the strength to get through your life. On the days that I feel like I'm not gonna make it, on the days that it feels like I can't endure anymore, I think back on my track record for surviving all my bad days. And so far, surviving all my bad days, my track record is 100%. I know a lot of very, very rich people that's miserable, not happy at all. I can bet you most of you are happier than most of the people I know. And I know some very, very wealthy people. But if that's your desire to get more of it, you got to ask God for it. If you want to be happy or successful, you got to ask God for it. Most people don't have the life of their dreams because you don't ask God for it. The scripture says you have not because you ask not. But listen to me, if you up your ask, he will up his give. It's a scripture that's available for everybody. It's not just for rich people. You don't need an education to be successful. I flunked out of school. What God has for you, quit tying it in education. People kill me. I know people got 2 degrees finna go back to school and get another. If you got 2 of them that ain't working for you, why would you go get another one of them? That's crazy to me. You don't need that. I'm telling you, man, your whole success is tied in your relationship to God. You can simplify this by getting in touch with your Creator. That's your key, man. Quit tripping yourself out. Hey, y'all, don't forget to pray. Don't be ashamed to pray. And don't ever be too proud to pray, because prayer changes things. Thank y'all for coming, everybody.
We'd like to thank you so much for watching till the end. Don't forget to share your thoughts in the comments section. Please also like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and families. Please watch our other motivational videos. Thank you again.
Conception does not guarantee manifestation. And what I mean by that is, bird and a fish created by God. The fish was created to do what? Swim. So fish do not attend swimming lessons. I know it sounds simple, but it's very important. Why? Because swim is built into the fish. Why? Because God demanded the fish to swim. So he put the ability in it. Birds were designed by God to fly. So birds don't attend flight school. Flight is built in. I like this one. Seeds. Seeds were designed by the Creator to bring forth trees. You'll never find a seed attending a tree growing convention to learn how to grow trees. Why? Where's the tree? Trapped on the inside. In other words, whatever God created something to do, he built it in. Your culture and your educational system doesn't allow you to discover that. We are educated to be employed, not to be deployed. Seeds deploy themselves and become trees. Fish deploy themselves and they swim. Birds deploy themselves and they fly. We are the only creatures God created who don't deploy ourselves, because our culture doesn't allow it. Gotta get free from the culture. And it's seminars like this that make you begin to have a meeting with yourself, discuss yourself with yourself, and say to yourself, self, am I who I really am? You know, here's my conviction. This is why I believe that buried in every human being is a leader, trapped by an erroneous philosophy that you were born to follow. Let us make man to have what? Dominion. To govern, to rule, to lead, control. Which means that somewhere inside of you is a ruler, a controller, a leader, a dominator. Somewhere in there, because he would not have demanded it if he didn't inject it. Which means that your ability is determined by your responsibility. Your potential is designed by your purpose. Your potential is equal to what you were born to do. The best example I can give you is this car. Look at this car. All cars have what they call a speedometer. Am I right? Well, here's an old one, old Chevy. Now, if you look at the numbers have to 160 miles per hour this car can travel. All of your cars have that kind of registration, sometimes 200, 180. Everybody got that, right? Okay. Now, when you bought the car, that was on the car. You bought the car with it. It was on it, 180 miles per hour. I'm getting ready to go. Okay. I'm so excited. Okay, so you bought this car, brought it home, and the manufacturer says this car can travel 180 180 miles per hour. How can the manufacturer put that on there? What makes him so sure that this vehicle could travel 180? That's the first question. The second question is, have you ever traveled 180 in that car? No. Let me tell you how stupid our philosophy of our countries are. We sell a car that could travel 180 and put a sign up 50 miles per hour. It's amazing. It's crazy. I don't understand it. I have no idea how they got this idea. I don't know where it comes from. But it tells you the nature of your culture. Don't try it. They give the company permission to build the capacity, but restricts your ability to use it. And you never thought about that. And that's the way they think about you. So all your life, you can make 180. But you've been traveling for 50 years at 60 miles per hour, and you think you're living. The capacity is present. Our culture says you can't go any further. And God says, press the accelerator. And your culture says you can't go any further. You can go no faster. You got to make a decision tonight, see?
I love my mother, but I'm not giving my mother control over my life. My mom got control of her life. She don't get to have control. Somebody missed what I said. My mom don't have the right to tell me what to do with my life. My mom trained me, and I'm on my own now. Are you hearing what I'm saying? So number two, you got to get this. The only way you're going to get to where God would have you to go is to have control, because God has given you the freedom of choice, and he ain't gonna make you do nothing. So number two, I need you to take the control back so you can get what God has for you. Now here's the third thing, and we're gonna get to the message that God told me to tell you. God told me to tell you to stop making plates for people who just trying to take it to go. Write that down. No, God told me to tell you, stop making food for folks that just wanted to go plate. He told me to tell you that there's somebody in the room, your life is screwed up because you making food for people who just wanted to go plate. You are a great good person. You phenomenal. You got it going on. You making all these great meals, and it's a whole bunch of people coming to your house. And listen to me very closely. My grandma taught me when I was young. My grandma had 14 kids who all had kids. And my grandma said, I will cut you. You can eat as much food as you want at the house. But if I swear if one of y'all little jokers take some out this house, you get in the business in front of your mama. In front of your, because I used to whip their butt. I'm whipping your butt too. With a switch. Don't take no food out my house. You can eat as much as you want when you here, but do not pack a plate. And most of y'all running with people who, when you fix food, they come to your house and take it to go plate. They don't bring nothing. They not trying to help you. All they in your life to do is take. And you wondering why your life messed up, because you with takers. You done made a whole spread, and they just coming in. They can't even say, they don't have the decency to say hi and thank you. You so ignorant, though. You just so geeked to have them coming and so-and-so came to my house. I'm so glad they came over. Listen to me. I promise you there's some other folks who cooking or who would bring at least something to drink and some cups that would love to come to your house. You ain't got to put up with that mess. And so in 2019, God told me to tell you, your life gonna go to a whole nother level if you just get rid of folks who bring it in to go container. You already know who they are too. As soon as I said it, you already knew who you like to see. They'll never bring that. You didn't even notice at first until it came in the atmosphere. Then all of a sudden you was like, you're right. They always taking. And I tell my babies all the time, it ain't nothing wrong with helping, but you can't help when you ain't got nothing. You got to have something first before you can help somebody. I couldn't do this if I was broke. The plane tickets cost money. The hotel I'm staying at in Buckhead costs money. I couldn't do this if I was broke. I couldn't be a blessing of you if I was broke. And most of y'all, you broke and you trying to bless somebody when you broke. You ain't that desperate for company. You can't be that desperate to have somebody at your house. And he keep eating at your house but going to stay at her house. I'm just trying to help somebody. She coming to get a plate from your house, but she's sleeping at his house. Ain't nothing wrong with getting a plate, boo, but you gonna have to stay. You're gonna have to at least stay. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to put it in your, so you can understand. And so God is blessing you, but the little resources you got, you're giving them away. So what you're gonna have to learn how to do is you're gonna have to learn to bring people in your life.
You know, you gotta pick certain things that motivate. The number one motivating thing for me, and I'm just being honest, was I was sick and tired of being poor. I was just exhausted. My mother was poor, my father was poor, my brothers and sisters were poor, all my friends were poor, all my relatives were poor. I lived in a poor neighborhood, we lived in a poor house. I was just like, wow, man, I watch TV. And I would see, you know, like at Christmas time, my father would put us in the car and take us out to the suburbs to see the Christmas lights. And I would see these big houses, man, with lights all on them, and they had horseshoe driveways where you just pull in and go all the way around. That was amazing to me. You know, we would pull up in the driveway, got a back out. You know, I've been doing that, and I kept saying, I told my father, I said, Dad, I said, why don't we get one of these houses? He said, boy, I ain't got no money for this kind of house. He said, but if you work hard, keep going to church like your mama say, you can make some money, you can buy you one of these houses. That was it. My motivation was to buy a big house so I could put up Christmas lights and drive in the driveway. And I'm gonna tell you something. Every home I have, every house I've ever owned or built, you got to pull in one way and drive all the way around to come out there. I have never built, lived, or owned a home that did not have that driveway with gates on both sides. Never. That was the biggest motivating. So my advice is you have to find a dream that's so big that it overwhelms all of your fears and causes you to never give up. Now you're gonna think about quitting no matter what you do. I mean, I've thought about it many times, but I always just kept thinking about that house. And I've always dreamed of buying my mother and father a real house. And and before they died, I was able to do all of that.